We're at the National Hardware Show 2015 looking at a lot of the cool things at the show. That brought me over to the Hillman Group booth, and we're looking at fasteners. For a lot of us, this is something we use a lot in our different projects, and I've got Bob here from Hillman Group. Bob, tell us a little bit about how these different screws are different and what their uses are.
The screws that we have are very typical. You find them in any home center or hardware store. There's nothing unique about them except when we get into the exterior screws. Here we have cement board screws, which are used in putting flooring down. Very typical in every home. People sometimes don't even realize they have them in their house. Drywall screws, everybody knows what a drywall screw is. We got coarse and fine thread, very typical, commodity-based, price-driven, but that's what you use when you're installing drywall.
Bob, what was the difference between the coarse and the fine thread? What applications?
The coarse thread is for when you're using wood studs, and the fine thread is when you're using metal studs. Self-drilling framing screws. When you're putting in the frames in your drywall and or your windowsills, this is typically what you would use because you have to pierce the metal. Trim screws are used on molding, trim around the house. When you're installing your floorboards, that's what a trim screw is used for. Cabinet screws are very, very common as well. Anytime that you are installing a cabinet in your kitchen, typically it's put up with a yellow screw like this, and it does pierce. It's a wood-to-wood application, and we sell quite a bit of those as well.
It's got a little bit larger head so it can hold the board a little bit, or the wood more.
Yes, it does have a truss. It's called a modified truss head. We've also got a very wide range of exterior wood screws. This is the simplest and or the cheapest version of our screws. That does have a ceramic coated, it's used for wood-to-wood applications. It's got a bugle head, really not from a design standpoint. There's really no different features on it, but very common, very, very price competitive. Then we get into our Deck Plus, which we talked about earlier, is that it's a project-based screw. We've got tan and green. We also have the red color as well for the West Coast. Then we get into our performance product, and this is called the Power Pro. Power Pro is used in a lot of different applications, but this is another version of a trim screw, which is going to be used on exterior trim. It's going to use on your hand railings outside, but really where you need a small head, concealed head. Exterior deck screws, again, when you're putting down deck screws, you want to have that screw that's going to work well with your wood, outlast your wood, and coatings and performance and less torque is what these screws provide. And then stainless steel. Stainless steel Power Pro. This is where you typically want to, you want to spend a heck of a lot more. You're putting a lot of money into your deck. You absolutely have to have a screw that you do not want to mess with. This is from a damage standpoint. This is the stainless steel version of the Power Pro. It has all the same features as the Power Pro screw with the thread design, but it also has a lifetime guarantee that will not rust.
Now, are there some applications where the stainless steel would be better for the type of wood than some of the others?
Yes, typically anywhere around salt water, anywhere there's, we sell a lot of stainless steel around anything that there's a wetland area. Typically you see them on docks, you see them, near oceans, inland ocean waterways, but typically you'll see that in Florida, California, and around the lake areas.
That's some really cool stuff. If people would like to find out more information, where can they go to check out the different options?
www.hillmangroup.com.
Thanks, Bob. We are at the National Hardware Show 2015.